good. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us. This is our final webinar in our Modern Airline Retailing series. Today, we are focusing on the part of the offer and order lifecycle that gets the least amount of attention, maybe, but has a big impact when something goes wrong: the servicing and the settling of the order. So for those of you who are new to this webinar series, we have been following a fictional airline, which we have called Air Awesome. So we've been following Air Awesome through their journey of modern airline retailing. We explored ways of how they create, distribute, and present offers. They've made great progress along the way by introducing branded fares, using automation solutions like express contracts, and improving merchandising with Route Happy and leaning into dynamic distribution. But now they're facing the complexity that comes along post-sale. Travelers are changing flights and requesting refunds. Taxes vary by region, and revenue needs to be reconciled with interline partners. This is where the servicing and the settling comes in. It's not just a back office function. It's a moment when the promise of the offer is either upheld or broken. So for Air Awesome, it's clear. Getting this right means fewer disputes, faster processes, better reporting, and ultimately a better customer experience. So today we're going to show you how trusted data and smarter solutions are helping airlines like Air Awesome close the loop. I am Kathy Schoen. I am Director of Marketing Strategy here at ATPCO, and I am so excited to have with me a great lineup of speakers joining us today. Pablo is here with me. He is going to talk all about taxes and how ATPCO and IATA are working together to simplify one of the industry's most complex challenges. Louise, who will walk us through the role of revenue, accounting, and settlement services, also known as RAS, and how it's creating cost predictability and interline settlement. And then Russell, he will explore how sales data is powering not just settlement, but transformation through better reporting and automation. So thank you all for joining me. Before we dive in, a quick few housekeeping notes. This webinar is being recorded, and we will send a link to all registrants after the session. And then questions. We definitely want you guys to ask questions. We encourage them. So if you have a question as the presenters are speaking, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A tab at the top of this Teams webinar. So not the chat, but the Q&A tab. And then we'll do our best at the end to answer them live, or if we run out of time, we'll be sure to follow up via email. So with that, let's jump right in with a Slido question. We want to get everybody thinking and engaged, and we want to start out by hearing from everyone on the call today. What is your team's biggest challenge with after-sale operations? So if you want to go to slido.com and type in hashtag ATPCO, or in the chat here, there is a link that you can just click on, or you can scan the QR code. We want to hear from you. What is your team's biggest challenge with after-sale operations? Is it taxes on reissues and refunds? Is it interline settlement accuracy? Data availability for revenue processing, or too many manual processes? Give you a few seconds to go in and select which one you think is your biggest challenge with your team with after-sale operations. Too many manual processes. Oh, it keeps changing. We're a little divided here, which is interesting. Too many manual processes seems to be the winner. Interline settlement accuracy, data availability for revenue processing. Only 10 people answered, but I think that's a good gauge of where we feel the biggest challenge is. Okay. Well, thank you all for participating. I am now going to turn it over to Pablo to talk about taxes.
Kathy, thank you. And actually, that answer doesn't surprise us because we see in the servicing cycle, for example, with exchanges and in refund transactions, we see that for taxes, there's 60% automation today, which means that a good chunk of the world's servicing for taxes and exchange and refund transactions is still very manual. And that's one of the areas that we are working with the industry to try to resolve and increase that automation over the next couple of years. Thank you again, all of you, for joining us. Before we do get started, let me ask you all, how much money do you think is lost to tax disputes every year? Take a guess, and feel free to share your response with us in the Q&A tab. We'll give everyone a few seconds to respond, and you'll be probably surprised to hear the figure. But please go ahead, take some time to think about it. And before we give you the answer, however, a quick reflection. The annual financial losses resulting from issues with ticket taxes and amounts to 1% of the total automated tax collection worldwide. Yes, that's right. In just a few seconds, we'll look at the monetary figure corresponding to that 1%.
Cindy said billions.
It's definitely a huge figure. So we'll give everybody an opportunity to respond. How are we looking there with the
Just
responses?
one.
Let's see. Just one?
She just,
Okay.
yeah, in the billions. I think they're ready for you to
Perfect.
share it.
Okay. Well, that is a really good guess, and thank you for participating there. That 1% is the equivalent of $1.4 billion in financial losses every year due to disputes over taxes, fees, and charges. In fact, 37% of all billing rejections are tax related. That's not just a finance issue, it's a servicing problem. It's a settlement problem, and ultimately, it's a customer experience problem. Our focus today is on how accurate, compliant, and flexible tax handling can enhance airline retailing and reduce friction across every stage of the journey. We'll also discuss why refund and exchange rules are growing in importance and why airlines need to file ancillary tax rules, as well as refund and exchange rules for taxes and carrier imposed fees, so your YQARs, now to support the transition later to offers and orders. So again, meet Air Awesome, our wonderful airline. Air Awesome had done a lot of things right. They modernized offer creation, launched branded fares, and improved the shopping experience for its customers. But behind the scenes, servicing was under pressure. Every time a traveler needed a refund, changed flights, or missed a partner connection, things broke down. Their tax data was fragmented. Systems did not match what was filed. Refunds were handled manually and inconsistently. And finance teams, they spent far too much time untangling discrepancies. The story is not unique to Air Awesome. It's the industry's challenge at a whole. At the heart of the issue is fragmentation. Airlines juggle tax data from IATA, ATPCO, and other sources. These sources, they don't always align. Calculation logic varies, rules for refunds and exchanges are inconsistently applied, and when Interline comes into play, there are mismatches that lead to billing and audit disputes. This challenge is becoming even more urgent as the industry transitions from traditional ticketing today to modern offer and order management tomorrow. The promise of this new model is clear: one offer, one order, one source of truth. But that cannot happen without accurate, standardized, and dynamic text handling. The stakes are high. Airlines are responsible for remitting over $143 billion in taxes each year. So again, when we mentioned the 1% figure, in annual financial losses, that 1.4 billion is 1% of $143 billion. That is a significant figure throughout the ecosystem of automated tax collection worldwide. Mistakes, delays, or misinterpretations can lead to compliance failures and financial penalties. Already, nearly 4 in 10 interline billing disputes originate in mismatches in tax data. So, what's the solution? ATPCO, in partnership with IATA, will be leading the development of a centralized calculation utility for ticket taxes, fees, and charges. This utility would provide accurate, transparent, and compliant tax calculation throughout the offer and order lifecycle. It would support pricing, servicing, refunds, exchanges, and interline billing in real time, with the goal of eliminating multiple layers of retouching and reprocessing in interline settlement. It would include consumption taxes, like value-added taxes and goods and services taxes, for example, handling ancillaries and bundles, and offering both APIs and a user interface for validation and audit of ticket tax amounts. This isn't just about automation. It's about enabling trusted, scalable, and modern servicing. The industry utility ensures over-collected taxes are refunded properly to the consumer, under-collected amounts are recovered, and all calculations align with the latest rules from taxing and charging authorities. This would support faster refunds, fewer disputes, and better audit readiness for fiscal authorities. Ancillary products like baggage, seats, onboard Wi-Fi, and bundles are central to retailing strategy. But today, many of these do not have corresponding tax rule filings in sales channels. This causes pricing inaccuracies, regulatory risk, and errors in refunds. Filing these rules ensures accurate display to the consumer, correct remittance to the authorities, and proper tax treatment after purchase. Regulators across the globe are raising their expectations, from digital mandates in the European Union to evolving tax regimes in North America and in the Asia-Pacific region. Compliance requirements are growing more complex. Therefore, a centralized industry utility will strengthen industry trust, promote transparency, and enhance readiness across all channels and partners. So, what should you do now? If you are an ATPCO community participant, check with the ATPCO tax team. You already have a foundation to build from and a team here at ATPCO to support your data filings. And if you have not yet filed your ancillary tax rules or your tax and carrier imposed fees, refund and exchange rules with ATPCO, now is the time. By participating, you strengthen compliance processes, enable accurate pricing and servicing in your sales channels, reduce the risk of audits and disputes, and you improve customer satisfaction through accurate refunds and in the use of residual amounts in exchange transactions. ATPCO is ready to work with you to collect, validate, and distribute your ancillary tax rules and your tax and carry impose fees, refund, and exchange rules. The more airlines participate, the more powerful the industry calculation utility will become. The transition to offers and orders isn't just about systems. It's about trust in the price, the refund, and the total experience. A modern retailing strategy must also include a modern tax solution. Stay tuned. We'll have news about our upcoming design team for taxes and offers and orders, where we will be working with the industry on the future of automated data processing for ticket taxes, fees, and charges in the retailing environment and shaping the future. Let's work together. Follow your rules. Help shape the calculation utility. Let's get taxes right so that we can also get retailing right. Air Awesome did just that, and it transformed in 3 big ways. Filing carrier imposed fees or YQYR, tax and refund exchange rules, completing ancillary tax rule filings to have a comprehensive ecosystem through the industry utility, and also having a reconciliation and traceability source that is reliable and accurate. So by doing all these things, Air Awesome is on the way to shape its future. Thanks again. And now I'll hand it over to my colleague Luis to take us deeper into how interline settlement is evolving. Thank you.
Thank you, Paulo. Very interesting, the taxation part. Good morning or good afternoon to all. Today, I'm leading the transformation of the settlement services and products at ATPCO. Allow me to take a moment to remind you of our journey. ATPCO has delivered settlement services for many years. Back in 2007, it was known as CHIPS, Centralized Industry Preparation System, and NFP, like the Neutral Fair Preparation, part of the partnership with ARC, IATA, and ATPCO for the first and final services. By 2018, it evolved into RAS, and always with the same purpose: enable airlines to have sufficient confidence in bill values to accept an invoice without further verification, and to conduct interline billing and settlement on first and final or non-first and final basis. But before we dive deeper into settlement, let's take a moment to talk about industry alignment. This will show you how ATPCO and IATA are pursuing the same target, both playing a pivotal role where interoperability becomes a fresh, collaborative pathway to adopt and embrace industry standards. At the recent Offer and Order Forum in Geneva, IATA unveiled the translator concept, a transitional bridge linking modern offer management system platforms to legacy PSS systems. It's a temporary fix, designed to vanish once the industry fully moves to offer and orders. The RAS initiative aligns with IATA's vision, but while the interline translator focuses on technical interoperability, RAS, our services of revenue accounting, is more about financial accuracy and settlement automation. They complement each other. IATA translators solve how airlines connect during the transition, and our services, RAS, solves how they settle accurately and automatically once connected. Okay, let's go back to Air Awesome. As a mid-sized carrier expanding internationally, it leans heavily on interline partnerships, but shared revenue often felt like a gamble. Each ticket meant estimated to the partner's share using outdated fare methods and incomplete data. By the time settlement arrived, weeks or months later, discrepancies sparked disputes, delays, and lost revenue. It's not just Air Awesome. Airlines everywhere face unpredictable interline margins and costly pricing errors. Eventually, Air Awesome's teams asked the obvious question: why guess when we could agree on the numbers upfront? That's exactly the problem revenue accounting settlement services on ATPCO is solving. It isn't just about pricing and billing. It's a strategic enabler of smarter offer creation and financially clarity. At its core, RAS introduces pre-agreed settlement values right at the time of the offer. Instead of relying on an estimated fare that's filed, airlines like Air Awesome can know with confidence what the revenue split will be between partners using real prorated data and, of course, the current bilateral agreements. By generating settlement values upfront, pricing and revenue teams can build offers with no downstream surprises. These values, like the fare, YQ, YR taxes, and interline service charges, travel through the entire life cycle. Ready for billing without recalculation, the result: fewer manual fixes, faster reconciliation, fewer disputes, and protected margins. For us, Air Awesome, an interline offer now comes with pre-agreed, traceable values, enable quicker, more accurate settlement, and stronger partner trust. critical on the era of dynamic offers and NDC connections. But now let's talk about RAS as a data layer. In legacy systems, there's been a big divide between the commercial side when fares are filed and the financial side when revenues is settled. RAS bridges that gap. It connects what's sold to what's settled. It ensures that the promise made in the offer is backed by agreed financial logic. It stores the sales data and creates new settlement data elements like record 6, 97, and 98 to be used in expanded offers. Of course, these include prorated fare values, taxes, including the YQ/YR, interline service charge, bilateral or partner-specific logics, and all of these are made available through our product catalog solution. So where are we now? In our new RAS model, we connected the ATPCO product catalog to the current RAS process, delivering settlement values via existing inputs. We are now in phase 1 in the RAS transformation, implementing a standardized proration report to deliver settlement-ready values shortly after ticketing. Integrating this into ATPCO's product catalog, we could onboard early adopters to validate workflows and gather feedback. Benefits: reduced proration costs, lower cost of dynamic offer creation, and the ability to change offers before they are even constructed. But the most exciting part is what's next. Our future vision, phase 2, is where we shift upstream, embedding settlement values at the time of the offer creation. Expected benefits for phase 2 are reusing settlement values enables consistent and accurate interline pricing, streamlined workflows, reduce duplicate calculation and costly proration, supplementary data expands use cases across systems and partners, early settlement access supports strategic pricing and partnership choices, ongoing reuse lowers dynamic offer cost and improves margin control. The result: consistent, accurate interline pricing, streamlined workflows, lower cost, better margins. For Air Awesome, this means no more guesswork. Every interline offers includes the revenue split upfront. Partners agree to the values. Settlement becomes seamless. To broaden knowledge and strengthen collaboration for phase 2, we are creating a dedicated interline offer and settlement-focused team. If this sounds like the kind of foundation your airline needs, we'd love for you to get involved. We are building the next generation of RAS, and we want to help shape it. If you are interested in embedded interline visibility, cleaner settlement, or just spend less time reconciling numbers, join us. Thank you, and I look forward to working together on what's next. I'll pass it to my colleague, Russell. Thank you.
Thank you, Luis. So let's talk about sales data and why it's more powerful than people realize. For airlines like Air Awesome, managing interline settlement used to mean one thing: tracking down who flew what and splitting the revenue accordingly. That's where our Sales Data Exchange, or SDE, comes in. Sales Data Exchange allows airlines to send ATPCO their ticketed sales transactions, what we simply call sales data, which we then enrich and distribute to other parties involved in each transaction in the form of the Industry Sales Record, or ISR, which just happens to be the delivery mechanism for Luis's RAS product, which he just described. The goal: make sure everyone who needs to know about a transaction, airline partners, systems, settlement providers, has the same clear view of what was sold. That consistency eliminates friction in revenue accounting. How do we enrich the data? There are several value-added processes we apply to the data. To name just a few: we remove duplicate transactions, we merge sales and cancellations, we perform what we call code share processing, which is how we determine which carriers are eligible to receive a given transaction, and file filtering, which allows customers to control which transactions we distribute and to whom. And of course, to respect data privacy, we encrypt any credit card or personally identifiable information upon receipt and can mask it on distribution. So many carriers like Air Awesome subscribe to the ISR to help them manage the complicated process of interline settlement. But how else can we leverage that wealth of sales data? Well, speaking of Air Awesome, they were looking for ways to streamline their regulatory reporting, specifically the United States Department of Transportation's Origin and Destination Survey. The DOT mandates the reporting carriers provide a sample of used or flown ticket data on a monthly basis, which they then use to understand air travel patterns and inform policymaking. They recently published new requirements which require more detailed data, more frequent reporting, and an expanded list of carriers required to report, requirements which just went into effect in July of this year. Instead of building a brand new internal system, Air Awesome subscribed to ATPCO's DOT O&D survey service, a new value-added option within Sales Data Exchange. As an SDE participant, Air Awesome already sends ATPCO all their sales, so all they had to do was start sending us their usage or lift data. Our service marries the usage and ticketing data to produce the reporting file the DOT expects. Air Awesome didn't need to retool or create a whole new process. They just extended the data they were already sending us. Another growing use case is around branded fare performance. Like many airlines, Air Awesome had invested in branded fares, but they didn't have a reliable way to measure how well those products were performing across channels. By combining Air Awesome's filed branded fares with the sales data they were sending through SDE, ATPCO was able to provide visibility into which brands and features were being purchased, which channels were driving conversion, and where upsell potential was being missed. It increases Air Awesome's ability to adjust offers based on what they know about real sales, not just assumptions. That's real business value, unlocked from data they were already providing to ATPCO. So why does this matter in the context of today's theme, servicing and settling the offer? Because this kind of clean, centralized data is what lets you move faster, settle smarter, and make better decisions across the board. It's traceable, it's shareable, and it supports consistent communication across all your partners and systems. No, we don't do proration. That's still up to you and your partners. But we make sure that everything downstream of the sale works better because the data you need is already in place. And here's where we're headed. As the industry moves toward offer and order models, there's growing interest in leveraging our industry order store, the shared repository where the sales data lives, not just for settlement, but for analytics, servicing, and retail optimization. SDE can not only help streamline revenue accounting, but also provide valuable insights for revenue management in formulating the right offer at the right price. That's the future. And the airlines that are already sending us sales data are going to be the first to benefit. So if you're already using Sales Data Exchange and want to explore new use cases like DOT compliance or branded fare insights, reach out to us. And if you're not sending us your full sales data yet, let's talk about what you can unlock. Thank you. Now I'll pass it back to Kathy to hear from all of you with our next poll.
Thank you, Russell. Thank you, Louise. Thank you, Pablo. So much information that we just heard from you guys. Just want to remind everybody, if you do have a question, feel free to put it in the Q&A section here. We do have some time to answer them, so don't be shy. But let's go into a poll question. We started with a Slido. We're going to end with a Slido. So we want to hear from you. Go to slido.com, or you can go in the link in the chat and click on it. Which after sale initiative is your team most focused on right now? Tax automation and accuracy, interline revenue predictability, US DOT O&D compliance, after sale data quality for product insights, or you're not sure yet? Tax. So please go to slido.com, hashtag ATPCO, and answer this question. Which after sale initiative is your team most focused on right now? Tax automation and accuracy. Pablo, does that surprise you? Tax.
Not at all. As I mentioned earlier, the percentage of automation in the initial pricing transaction, it's about 92%. It oscillates between that range every quarter when we look back at the statistics. And when we take a look at that
Tax.
rate of automation in exchanges and refunds, we still see a lot of manual process. We see a lot of decentralization, pulling information from various sources, but that information doesn't necessarily align. And the automation rate there is about 60%. So we want to, in the future, try to line it up as much as we can with that 92% that you have in the initial pricing transaction, and have repricing kind of work seamlessly as well. No surprise, again, on tax automation and accuracy, it's one of the biggest areas of still misalignment, various sources of interpretation, where we try to work in conjunction with other industry trade associations, such as IATA, and try to get the alignment there in terms of what the norms really mandate us to apply in data automation. Data automation requires a high level of precision, and what you have basically is tax legislation, and many times is very vague. So to bring that into automation and build that bridge is one of the industry's biggest challenges, and continues to be so. But as we walk into the world of offers and orders, we have a nice opportunity there to get it right on the first try, and to get accepted upfront values through an industry utility. We've seen the levels of interpretation increase in terms of the alignment and interpretation, and we want to continue working in that direction. And that in that sense, I think what the airline industry has asked us to do over the last couple of years is to partner with IATA, and if we can get everything from publication down to data dissemination and servicing and settlement as close to right as possible. It'll never be a perfect world, but the challenge will be working towards making it as perfect as possible. But as we get that level of cooperation between industry trade associations, we'll be able to move much closer in that direction.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for participating in that poll. Well, we're going to wrap things up. So quick recap of what we heard today. Pablo, he reminded us that tax data can't live in silos. Centralizing it is key if we want to modernize servicing. Louise walked us through how predictable settlement really starts at the offer, and how RAS helps us get that right from the start. And Russell made it clear that sales data isn't just for reconciliation anymore. It's a foundation that we can build transformation on. So if you guys are ready to take action, many of these solutions are available to you if you are a community participation member. So you don't have to wait to start using them. If something sparked your interest that you heard today, whether you want to join a design team or that focus team that Louise was talking about, or if you have more questions about taxes, RAS, sales data exchange, we'd love to keep the conversation going. So please reach out to your account manager, or you can just drop a line here in the chat saying you want to learn more, and we'll be sure to reach out to you. So thank you again so much for joining us. Yes.
We do have one last question, I believe, from Cindy Mesa. We are currently joining the process. Yes. So it says, we are currently joining the process for DOT compliance, and it requires from us partly to analyze and correct any exclusions and missing tickets. Through the solution mentioned, would that determination be absorbed or simplified by ATPCO? If so, how would it be?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Cindy. Yes, we do call out exclusions, and we have a process for processing missing tickets, where when we get a lift or a usage that comes in from a participating carrier, if we do not have that ticket in our sales data repository, then we have a process worked out where we basically via emails can notify the carrier that a given ticket is not in our repository. That's also why we strongly encourage, if not require, that participants in our DOT/OD survey service send us all of their sales. We want to minimize the amount of time that our customers need to spend dealing with missing tickets in particular. But there are rules that the DOT has put in place around exclusions. We have carrier level thresholds that we've set up for like low or high ticket value, total amount values, things like that. All of that we have, we can identify in our processing, and we make our customers aware that when those exceptions are taking place. So it's a longer conversation probably than we can have right now. But if you would just feel free to send me an email, we would absolutely love to talk to you about it.
Great. Thank you, Cindy, for the question. Okay. All right. Well, if there are no more, which I don't see anymore, we will close it out. So thank you guys so much for joining. Oh, wait. Another question coming through. Sorry. We frequently encounter being secondary on an interline ticket and become responsible for a country's tax that we have never settled with before. That discovery process takes time, and we have to work between IATA and GDS to discover the correct people. Does ATPCO take over this process?
So I think what I would say is that it's not that we necessarily take over the process. We make sure that in working together with IATA through the partnership in the future and in offering an industry calculation utility, that calculation utility must be fed with clear and accurate guidelines in the form of automation. So we do encounter that, for example, we know about the challenges with consumption taxes like value-added taxes, where an airline is selling tickets in a particular market but doesn't necessarily operate there. The idea of the industry utility in the future is that today, with consumption and percentage taxes, they are not necessarily interlineable. In fact, most are not interlineable. But we do find, and one of the requirements that we'd like to explore in the design team in the next couple of months and also into next year is we believe that there is a need for those consumption taxes to be part of the ecosystem, whether they are interlineable today or not. And we do think that there is a space for them to potentially be interlineable in the future. Otherwise, you will still be stuck in the situation of the present, again, where you're not operating in a certain market, but you're selling tickets in that market, and you don't necessarily have a way to verify the legislative guidelines of that other market, and also a channel through which to remit to the authorities the correct amounts. So we want to facilitate that operation between operating and selling carriers in a much more efficient way once we get into offers and orders in the retailing space. We do believe that there's an opportunity to improve that also in legacy and traditional ticketing. But obviously the focus will be on how do we make that better for shaping offers and orders management and including that in data processing for offers and orders. Again, it's not that we take it over, but it's that we help get it right in working in cooperation with IATA for tomorrow.
Great question. Great answer. Thank you. All right. Any last minute questions still? Okay. I don't see any, so we're going to close it up. We do want to invite everybody on this webinar to our next webinar. It's not part of this series, but it is a very important. And if you're here to learn about taxes, this one might pique your interest. So our next webinar is about filing ancillary taxes, strategies for smarter airline retailing. And that webinar is on September 30th. Registration is open now, and I believe we did put a link in the chat, so you can click on that directly to register through that link. So thank you everyone again for joining us. Thank you, Pablo. Thank you, Louise. Thank you, Russell. Very informative webinar, and we thank you guys and have a great rest of your day.